Like I said, it should be super quick, but just can you tell me a little bit of how you started in leadership? Like, how did you get into leadership?
Well, the way I started was literally, and you understand this as being a pastor's kid, there was a lot of situations where I was not asked to be a part of. I was put to those situations, placed in those situations that forced me to grow in that capacity. Yeah. Like I remember working in the children's church for my teenage years, and I want to say it was 15 or 16 that they put me as a children's pastor. And we didn't know titles back then. I mean, they just like, hey, we need you to take care of the kids, give them a Bible lesson. So at the age of 16 and 17, literally I was leading children's church, and I did that for a good 3 years.
Thank goodness.
A child teaching a child, man, the ways of the Lord.
That's awesome.
So and I hope that seeds are planted, because, I go back and I look at some of my sermons that I preached in my first year of ministry, and it's like, that is not good. That is not theologically correct. That is not sound. So we pray that there's fruit of that in those 3 years of children's ministry. But most of the time I was placed in difficult situations. It's like teaching someone how to swim. You just throw them into the water, and then they have to figure out themselves. That's been my story from the get-go, from the beginning. But I think once you understand that there is a calling over your life, and you feel like God is putting a burden in your heart for a certain area in ministry. I've always had a passion for kids and then youth. For some reason, that's always been my strength of being a part of kids ministry through VBS, kids camp, and then transitioning to the youth ministry. Or right after children's church, after graduating high school, I helped with the youth ministry for a good 2-3 years. And that just, man, it ignited me a passion to get more into the word, learn more about my strengths and my weaknesses. And then not until I came to Nelson University that I... Levon's like, it's not Nelson yet. It's still Sagu. I go, well, I'm making the change already mentally. So Nelson University. So, but when I came down to Nelson University, that's when I understood even more the weight of the call in my life, and then how to then surrender my will so that God's will can be done in my life. I came to Nelson University with so much preconceived notions, and I came already with a plan established, and there were some chapel moments that it wrecked me. It wrecked me, and I felt like God used several speakers to just bring redirection, realignment in my thoughts, because I had a perception of ministry, and then I came down to Southwestern, and God really challenged my way of seeing things. And so it was not until I graduated Southwestern that I said, okay, then I'm all yours, God. I'm all yours. And so I think willingness and then open-mindedness to allow God to challenge you in the areas that you know you need to grow in. I think the call, yes, of course, and then the burden. If you don't have a burden for people, I wouldn't encourage you to go into ministry. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, wow. I didn't even know that before. I didn't know you did kids ministry or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, Dad, as a pastor's kid, PK, Dad would put me in children's church. He put me in children's church as church pastor, and then I did youth ministry, and then within that youth ministry, because you do multiple things, and you can't say no because the pastor's your dad. And so I did youth ministry. I did the bus ministry as well. I would pick up new families from an hour away, and that was an experience of itself. And then I did a New Beginnings class. And then Dad at times will put me into the office. Like, he'll take me to the office to show me how to deal with conflict resolution. So, like, for me, I don't shy away from conflict resolution. Like, I think because of my upbringing, Dad never hid me from those things. He showed me the difficult side of ministry, at an early age. And so he didn't romanticize ministry to be like, oh man, the moment, God gives you a calling, God is going to take you from new levels, new glories. And that was never my dad's lingo. It was always like, Josh, this is hard. This is challenging. This is difficult. But if you're called, God will always back you up and he will sustain you. He'll give you the strength to do so. So I think even now, so as a pastor, my strength would be resolving conflict. That is not an issue for me. That is not an issue for me. Yeah.
Man. What are some conflicts that you, or some challenges that you've dealt with in ministry that, since you say it's one of your strong suits? What are some of those?
I would say when you have people or members that transition from other churches that have been well adapted to that culture and to that way of doing ministry, that when they do come to Fuego Church, they want to, I'm okay with suggesting ideas, but when you're very opinionative of those ideas and it becomes very, you start vocalizing it where it's now causing maybe a rift within the area that you're serving in, whether it be kids ministry or youth ministry, that I have an issue with. I understand every church is called to a different assignment. We're all for the same focus, to build the kingdom of God, and we have different ways of doing so. But when you come to church and you want to automatically, without knowing the church leadership, and you want to automatically vocalize the differences of your previous church with this church and how you would do it differently, man, I put a wall up so fast. Individuals like that, they think they're doing good, but in reality, I try to stay away from people like that quickly. If I talk to them and automatically they're like, people that bash your previous church, or people that automatically, man, I love the service, I would really change the worship playlist, or man, hey, have you guys ever thought about maybe having a shorter services, or have you ever thought about having an LED screen? People that you don't know, that you don't have a relationship with, and they come off as ready as very opinionative, my wall goes up very fast. And I don't know how candid I can be with you, TJ, but I had this recently. I had this individual come up to me about gun issues and policies, and we have a policy here, and he says, hey, just want to let you know there might be 2-3 families that may not agree with the policies, and so I said, okay, why? He goes, well, this is why, and for those reasons, we might even entertain looking at going to another church. And so when he said that, the shepherd in me comes out quickly, and I would say to him, well, dude, hey, let us know when. We want to celebrate your transition, and we don't want to hold you back. I go, man goes, no, I'm just saying. I go, no, and I'm just letting you know. I go, you're not going to corner me, and you're not going to give me ultimatums. I go, that's not how I work. I go, I don't do things like that. I go, I listen, and I consider your thoughts, and yes, but at the end of the day, we have a vision here at the church, and that's the vision that we submit to. But if you say that you and the other families want to transition out, you let me know when. I can make you some recommendations. I said, man, the Oaks is right here in the corner. Highland is right here in the other corner. These are great AG churches, and I think you have to be confident enough, TJ, to know that you've been called by God to speak in a way that if you're ever cornered, or if someone gives you an ultimatum and said, hey, it's either this or that, you can go back to okay, God put me here. First of all, God put me here. Secondly, I know the vision of this house. There's more context that I can't share with you in regards to why this policy is put in place. You got to trust us. It's not, I'm not asking you to do something dishonoring. I'm not trying to violate your moral character. It's just a policy. But if that's something that you don't find comfortable with, then I have no problem suggesting you somewhere else. And so, yeah. Like somebody says, you need the lamb and the lion, and for me, it's like I am gracious, TJ. Like I am generous, I am gracious, I am loving, I am kind. but I will defend this church.
Yeah.
I got a line in me,
Right.
but I know when to use it.
Yeah.
I know when to use it.
Yeah. Man.
And someone would see me like, oh, that pastor just very nice and very meek, and I love that. Hey, that's good. That's what God has called us to be humble, and that's awesome. But we can't be afraid to confront. We can't be afraid to lead, and we have to be so confident in our calling that if someone ever wants to put you in a difficult situation where like it's their way or the highway, it's like, hey, no. At the end of the day, what does God wants us to do, and that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. So, okay, last question. I just want to honor your time as well.
No, man. If you got more questions, go for it, TJ.
Well, okay, just along with that. So, you mentioned like submitting to the vision that is for the church, and how like you're like, no, we're gonna submit to that and what God has called us to do. So like, as far as the vision for the church, like, what does that process look like for you? With like prayer or with mentors, like when you're thinking about like the vision of Fuego Church, or if that ever like shifts in a way, not in like shifting like completely, but like if things here or there shifts, like what does that process look like for you?
I think the main vision for Fuego Church is Christ center, soul oriented, and gospel minded. Where the only reason why we have this church or the doors of these church are open is, man, I love what Leonard Ravenhill says. He says to empty hell and fill heaven with souls. And that's our heart desire, to win the community for Jesus and the community that we're assigned to. And right now we're assigned to this area. And then through social media internationally, we see that the message of God and Fuego Church reaches a great international community, which I'm grateful for. So our heart is always to make sure that Christ is exalted and that we are expanding and pushing forward his agenda. So anything that has to do with that, we're for. Anything that has nothing to do with that, we put aside.
Yeah.
And so what I try to do is that for accountability, I do have my board, and then I have my pastoral team. And so every year, I want to say between November to December, there is some very, very good discussions happening in regards to where we're at now as a church and where we're going. So I'll provide insight on my end. But at the same time, my mindset or my philosophy is I'm not the only one that goes up to the mountain to hear from the Lord. I also hear from my team. So I'll say, hey, this is what I'm hearing from God. What are your assessments? What are your thoughts? This is important, TJ, and I hope you get this. Vision does not come from the church. Vision comes from the pastor. So I'm setting to them what I'm hearing from the Lord. But what I'm asking them now is to provide input in what they're feeling as well from the Spirit, and then what they're assessing as well. And sometimes there might be something that I'm sensing, but I don't have clarity on. And one of the pastors will say, hey, Pastor, this is what I've been sensing now for a few months. Like, you know what? This is the missing piece that I've been missing in regards to this revelation or this thought. And so, yes, this is good. And so we'll come together, and for the next November and December, we're looking over our ministries, we're looking over our programs, we're looking over our outreaches, and we're looking at, okay, what is producing fruit, what is affirming and strengthening the vision, and then what's not affirming and strengthening the vision, and then what do we need to eliminate, what do we need to set aside, what do we need to modify and strengthen so that we can be effective next year. We do that with every outreach, we do that with every ministry. And then after that, we look within ourselves as leaders and we say, okay, are we still called to this assignment that we have here? If not, do we need to have conversations? Like, for example, if you're on my staff, TJ, and then you're like, Pastor, I felt called to Fuego Church for this season, but I'm sensing that the Lord is redirecting me somewhere else. I'm not sure what that is. And so those are the moments between November, December, before we enter. Our fiscal year starts in February. And so, because we have our Ignite conference in January, so Fuego Church fiscal year starts in February. That's when we start as a new chapter every February. And so from November to December, we're getting all the stuff down, what needs changes and all that stuff. And then January comes, we're, seeking after the Lord in prayer. And then February, we're cementing those things and we're starting off with that vision for 2024. So if you're on staff and you're like, man, Pastor, I'm sensing that the Lord is putting something in my heart. What I would say to you is okay, don't walk this by yourself. Get me involved. What can I do? How can I provide any guidance, or how can I shepherd you through this? So that the next transition is effective and you're not, wandering in the wilderness for 3 years because the Lord said it's a new season, and you're in the wilderness for 3 years and you're not in a place, it's no, and you're wasting time. Yeah. And so it's okay, let's talk this over. Yeah. And I do that with our staff. We do a 6 months evaluation every year, and we talk with the staff. Hey, do you still feel called here? What are you sensing the Lord is asking from you to do in this season? Is there anything that we can help you with? Is there anything that needs clarifying in our vision for 2024? And so there's sometimes that some of the staff members need some clarification in regards to the vision. And those are the moments where we have those heart-to-heart conversations, which helps us unify the team together towards the goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love that. That's really cool. I love the approach that you have, the shepherd and the pastor, of every part of it. It's really, really, I'm learning a lot right now. But
I think for me, TJ, I have to be careful too, because I think I told you this the last time we met. I'm the chair of the board. Mm-hmm. I'm the CEO, and then I'm as well boss of the business side of the church. I'm still the pastor. I'm a husband. I'm a son. I'm a brother. I'm an uncle. And so I'm part of the committee at the district. So there's a lot of roles that I have to make sure that I am not. Some you mesh. Some there's some parameters that you have to be careful with. Yeah. But it's learning how to be effective in those roles, where you can enter one meeting. I'm entering. I have a meeting with you now, and then right in 30 minutes, there's another meeting that I have to go to that it's business. So it's okay, Shepherd had to the side, boss, where we at with numbers, give me the data so we can present to the board tonight. So it's you have to make sure. And if our meeting don't go well, let's just say for example, if we're doing a conflict resolution, TJ, and our meeting doesn't go well, and I've had to, rebuke you or correct you for something, and then I go to the next meeting and I take it on them, then I'm not understanding the distinction of the roles. Yeah. Somebody else shouldn't be paying for somebody else's lack of responsibilities. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Which of those hats or those roles would you say are the three that you give the most attention to?
I would say for me, definitely the pastoral one. I don't like to use this word, but I pride myself in the aspect of that I'm very pastoral, and I love that. Mm-hmm. I love people. I love God, and I love people, and I'm very intentional, so very pastoral. The business hat for me would be third, because I don't like the business side of ministry. However, if I neglect the business side of ministry, then we're going to be in a deep trouble, deep problem. So I need to know numbers. I need to know where we're at with staff. I need to know not just that where we at in regards to income, profit that's coming in, offering that's coming in. If we're in the whole certain month, what does our budget look like? So that part I need to know. And then secondly, for me, not that it's less than or before the shepherd at I think the husband part, the relational part, and the family part. I want to make sure that what I do as a shepherd doesn't never take the spot of me being a husband to Lavon. Mm-hmm. And so she calls me her pastor. She's like, "You're my pastor," and he goes, "Josh, you're also my boss as well." But at the same time, even though I'm her pastor or her boss, in her words, that's my wife. And so I want to make sure that as a husband, that those lines don't get blurry, and that I can lead as a shepherd, but still respect her as my wife.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think you've heard me say this many a times. I never want to jeopardize my marriage for the sake of ministry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. You know, ministry is always going to be there.
Yeah.
But your marriage, your family, that's probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
And then even if you're friends with somebody on staff, the lines are, you know, like Josiah. I love Josiah, and there's times like I've had to, you know, challenge him and confront him, and then, you know, we'll watch wrestling on a Sunday night. You don't have to service, and so it's like, and have pizza at the house, and so it's like learning to, okay, it's nothing personal, you know, correct you, confront you, or challenge you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you want to hang out tonight? And then we'll hang out.
Yeah.
And, you know, and keep those lines.
Sorry.
No, you're good, man. Was it on my end?
Yeah, you just like froze like this.
Oh, okay.
But
I'm going to call Vos. Yeah.
no, that's the first time it's happened this whole time. So I don't.
Okay.
That might have been on my end.
Okay, no. We're good. Yeah. I know we've been having internet problems, so it might happen again, but hey, we're good. We're good, man.
Okay. Good. Okay. So the last thing that I heard you say was you were talking about you and Josiah and like those just not allowing even those lines to be blurred. Like you can still be his pastor, be his boss, his mentor, but also be his friend.
Yeah. Like if you were leading on Sunday and there was something that I didn't like you doing that you did that Sunday, I'll see you on staff in the morning and check up on you and like, hey, how you doing, man? You doing okay? Mm-hmm. How did you think yesterday went? You know what, Pastor? I think it went well. I said, let me give you an observation. And I'll give you an observation. And then I'll tell you, you know what? I would be careful with this. I would be careful with that. And I try to do that early on, TJ, so that I don't create an environment where it's just where we just give compliments, but we shy away from truth. Because I feel like if we do that, I'm doing you a disfavor. I'm doing you a disfavor. And so it's like, not everything can be perfect. Not everything can be perfect. Not everything can be good. It's like, oh, that was amazing. Yeah, but if you kind of analyze a little bit more, you'll find some stuff. And not that you become overly critical,
right?
But you have to be open enough to share some thoughts. Like, yeah, man, TJ, I noticed that you were a little bit shy and timid when you were preceding service on Sunday. You collected the offering, and you kept, slurring your words, stuttering. Is there anything that we can do to help you? What is intimidating you? What's causing you to get nervous? Like, what's up?
Yeah. And
that's where we have those conversations. Instead of saying, oh, my goodness, TJ, the way you collected the offering that Sunday, that was amazing, man. I've never heard anybody collect the offering that way. Yeah. I've been in church for a long time, and you telling me that you never heard somebody collect the offering that way? Like, no, I don't buy that.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's yeah.
And you'll hear compliments like that, like, oh my goodness, TJ, like I have never in my life heard someone bring it, like you bring a Devo to the smart, but I've never heard someone in my life bring a Devo that way. It's like, compliments like that, I do get concerned. I get, because it's like, dude, like, you've been in church for all your life. If you never heard a Devo this way, then I don't know whether to take that as a compliment or to be afraid, because, who are you listening to?
Right.
Get surrounded with some more voices in your life, man, because that was basic.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay, I have one more question. Oh no, you froze again. Okay, one more question.
Yeah.
Okay. So you kind of answered this last time we met a little bit, but I'll take a different route with it this time. So last time I asked, like, what is the most rewarding part of ministry and leadership? But I want to ask, okay, so you mentioned a lot of things like with staff and like and interacting with them and like all the like accountability and then friendship and relationship and then correction, rebuke, all those things. So with all of that, what would you say has been the most rewarding part of working with your staff that you have noticed?
I would say them living out their God-given assignment. Yeah, if they're not doing more than me, then I would question if I've actually am leading them or shepherding them. And so I don't want to be the only one where I raise the bar up here and I'm the only one up there. Like if I make it to the top, if there's ever such a thing as a top, if I make it to the top of ministry and I'm the only one there, do I really call that success in ministry? And then I have no one else to celebrate but myself. I don't find that rewarding. What I do find rewarding is that I see Josiah ministering in his full capacity. I see Vanessa. When I saw Vanessa leading at the district council last year for worship, man, TJ, I was bathed in tears, like in tears, and that was a proud pastor moment. And I'm like, come on, Vanessa, because I know her story. I know how she got to Fuego Church. I know the challenges and the difficulties that she had to go through, and so to see her comfortable. I mean, I told her, I go, Vanessa, you look so comfortable and so relaxed. Ministry is like, Pastor, it's the strength of God, the anointing of God, but also the support that you guys have provided throughout the years. And so that was a problem. And to see Pastor Stephanie teach at District Council at the kids camp, to see Josiah going out to minister, that for me is rewarding. To see Chastity just came yesterday, and she hanged out with us for services and with her husband Ethan, and she was just sharing, Pastor, I'm grateful for my season at Fuego Church. I would never forget my season here, and to see her now as an associate pastor of a church in Oklahoma, TJ, that's rewarding. To see Micah ministering at the church in Mesquite in the worship department, and his wife Marissa, who got saved through this ministry, helping out in the Next Steps program, that is rewarding. Their success for me is I consider my success or our success my reward. To know that I had a bit of that of that success in their ministry, to see that I had a part of their story, a small part of the story, that means the world to me. Yeah. To people to leave Fuego Church and to see them go astray in their faith and deconstruct their faith and God knows what, I don't see that rewarding. But to see people leave this church and say, this was the birthing place where God called me, God clarified direction and vision me, God discipled me, God equipped me, He prepared me for what I'm doing now. That is rewarding. Yeah. Launching out sons and daughters in the faith throughout the world for Jesus. Yeah. And these are long-lasting relationships, man. It's like Denzel in Timber Creek. I mean, if there's one person that reaches out to me a lot, is Denzel. Like, Pastor, I'm going through a situation. What are your thoughts on this? Man, he goes, I don't want to be a burden. I go, dude, shut to the up. You're not a burden. It is an honor to help you in this area, or whatever I can provide any insight, because that's what Rick DeBose is to me. So if I can be a Rick DeBose or a pastor to someone else and provide any support, be a sounding board and provide direction, man, that is an honor to have a long-lasting relationship. And then that they come for the anniversary and hang out with us here at Fuego Church, they don't have to do that. But for them to show up and be a part of the celebration, it's like a homecoming weekend celebration. I'm a proud pastor. I'm a proud pastor.
Yeah. I love it. Man.
Yeah, we got Addison and Abby, and they're heading, I think Addison and Sienna, they're heading to New Mexico. So they got hired over there. They're heading to New Mexico, and we're going to hang out with them on Tuesday just to say our goodbyes. Jocelyn her last Sunday was with us this yesterday. And she was like, Pastor, grateful for the season here. Maggie's going to stick around. Priscilla's going to stick around.
Mm-hmm.
She graduates this semester, but she's going to stick around to the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it. And even you, TJ, like even the season there at ministering at the Oaks, mm-hmm. you make us proud. Seeing you all working in your full capacity mm-hmm. on our end, you make us proud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say also, like, I'm really, really grateful for the time that I was at Fuego. Like, and you mentioned someone else said this, but seriously, like, it's something I won't forget. And a lot of the things I learned from you and from Josiah and from Vanessa and from the team, like, they're things I still think about and things that I, like, still apply. And so I'm just really, really grateful. Really grateful.
Well, thank you for allowing us to speak into your life, TJ. You made it easy. You made it easy. In fact, you were already doing it. All we did was just came alongside of you and push it out. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's a mantle over your life, and I can only see you going higher, and not in a totem pole of excellence of leadership, but I'm just saying higher in what God has for you. I think the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. So keep pursuing those God-given dreams, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Well, thank you for meeting with me today. I know.
It's a pleasure, man.
I know it.
You can
continue
on for another hour. I'm messing with you. No, but anytime I can provide any help or anything, just let me know, TJ.
Yeah.
Was that all your questions?
Yeah.